Hi friends, so this is a different kind of video. It's gonna be a chatty one about mental health. A few years ago, I think it was like almost 4 years ago now, I went through a very rough period, I'm not gonna lie, and I feel like I had a burnout. I lost my granddad, had just had COVID twice. I was terrified about life in general. I just became super vulnerable, and I started experiencing like anxiety attacks. It would literally just be like me at dinner having just like the nicest time with my friends, like you're just super chilled, like nothing's happening, and then all of a sudden I would have like this adrenaline rush that would make my heart just jump, and I would literally get up from the table. Like the best way I can explain it is like, imagine if you're in a car, you're like everything is perfect, and then all of a sudden you remember you have left the iron on back at home, and that like, oh my god, I have to rush back. It's like kind of like that. But in this case, nothing has happened. It's just literally coming out of nowhere, which I feel like makes it more terrifying because you don't understand what is going on. And especially at the very start when I didn't know what was happening with me, that was really scary. And then because I didn't really take care of myself, I didn't know what my body was trying to communicate to me, I developed panic attacks, which are way more intense. I had a couple of them in London. The first time I had it, I just felt really dizzy, and I felt like I just had to sit down. My heart was racing and I could not make it stop. I could not calm myself down. And that was really scary. Like people around me were talking about like heart attacks, and I was like, let's not do that. But then the strongest one I had, I literally broke down. I was in Soho in London and I was with my friends, and then all of a sudden I was like, I have to go home, like something's not right. And as we separated, like maybe a few few minutes later, I literally collapsed on the floor on all fours. I didn't know where I was. Everything was spinning. Imagine when your vision goes from like you can see everything to like tunnel vision. I could see just like black and just like the pavement underneath me. And I know London so well, and I did not know where I was. I was like, how do I get home? And that feeling was coming in waves all the time. I had to pick myself up. I had to like find a place to sit down where there wasn't like a lot of people. I was like, I don't know how to get home. Like I literally cannot get on the tube. I cannot. I felt so trapped. I felt so lost. I felt so scared and alone. I got a cab home, and when I got home, I had a release. I completely went, oh. From that moment, I had agoraphobia. Never knew what that was before, but it was essentially I just couldn't leave the house. And every day was a struggle to even get to the front door, to get to the front gate. I had to stop working. I had to stop everything that I was doing. I had to just do exposure therapy. Like every day I was working, but not to get money, but to get my life back, essentially. Yeah, I would have to go to the front gate. My heart would be racing. I would go back. Maybe a couple of hours later, I would get the courage to go to the front gate now. Again, my heart would be racing. I would come back. The next day, I would try to go to like maybe halfway down the road. Again, the same thing. You come back. I remember at one point, I was literally walking like up and down one road, and it was so scary. Like, what? But yeah, that's literally what happened. Every day I would try to push a little bit further. So then I would go around the block. I remember even crossing the road was really scary because I felt like if there's traffic or if I start having panic attack and I'm like at the red light and there's so much cars and I can't get over, the same thing that happened in Soho is going to happen like here. And it was so intense. With my rational brain, I was like, do you understand that everything's fine and you're safe and you're near your house, and even if you were near your house, you're still okay? That idea was like, yep, I understand. But then from the other hand, when I was actually on the road, my rational brain, like that didn't exist. It was panic mode. Yeah, I spent a year trying every single day to just go further, stretch my comfort zone. Then it was like meeting people. Even if it was near my house, I was scared because I didn't want to let them down. I was like, I don't want you to come all this way and then I can't like come and meet you. It was a rough patch. It was rough. It was terrifying. There were moments where I literally did not want to be on this planet anymore. Got through to therapy really quickly, probably because of that. Yeah, it was not fun. Is definitely not something that I ever saw coming. So now it's like, I think this is 3 years later, and I still struggle. I still It's not easy. Like almost every day, it's a struggle to get somewhere. My mind will just give me this like fear of like something bad's gonna happen. It's like doom, like something bad is gonna happen. But I've also learned to kind of stretch that feeling and be like, it's just a feeling, it's just a thought. Doesn't mean that that's gonna happen. And that is very difficult because you kind of have to separate your thoughts from reality. And it's been a journey. Okay, so if you have any questions, if you're experiencing anything like this, please let me know and I will help you as much as I can. Obviously, I'm not a professional or anything, but like just from experience. Otherwise, this video is just going to be too long. Anyway, I am currently in Lake District and it's probably the furthest I've been. I've been to Cornwall, which was a 5-hour drive. Terrified. But this is definitely the furthest I've been, the most uncomfortable I've felt before the trip. I also developed a backache like literally a day before. And I often think like, was that my mind just playing games and creating something? Like obviously it did actually happen. I had a backache, but a lot of the times I do believe that we can have physical pains just because our mind like makes it up. If that makes sense. I'm like, maybe my mind was like, I'm gonna give you a physical pain, so we're not gonna go on this trip. But I was trying to push through, and I'm here. As you can see, this is my beautiful room, and we're gonna drive back today. We've been here not that long. I wish we were here a bit longer. I feel like every time I get over like the initial fear, I'm like, oh, now I want to like spend more time here so I can like literally make it worthwhile almost. But either way, I've ticked off this place. It's been wonderful. We've seen so many animals. We went to this farm yesterday, and honestly, when I tell you, I had a little bit of a anxiety attack the first night. I was in my bed and I woke up and I was like shaking and I felt really out of my comfort zone. Your mind gets flooded with all of these what ifs. What if this happens? What would I say? What if this happens and I can't do this? And like, what would I do then? I try to listen to what ifs and then say, well, but what if something great happens? Like, what if you absolutely fall in love with this place? What if you have the best time? And it's interesting that my mind really struggles to like accept the positive what ifs. It's like the negative ones, yeah, that can happen, but the positive ones, maybe. Let's just be careful with that one. So yeah, that's what I've literally noticed about my brain, and I'm sure that it works like that for many people, and we experience similar things. But anyway, again, I am here. We were on the road almost the whole day, and at one point I had a really big headache, and I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, because anytime anything physical happens, I feel like that's the worst. Oh my god, now I'm gonna have this, now I'm gonna have that. Like my mind just starts racing uncontrollably. And that's also another scary thing because it feels like you're on a horse that's gone completely crazy and you're just going with it. Like you cannot stop it. I guess a lot of the times it is like letting go of the control and like just seeing where it takes you. But it can be extremely scary. Anyway, that's kind of like the very long intro that was necessary though. Before this trip, I spoke to one of my closest friends. Because of my backache, I was kind of like saying, you know, if I cancelled on this trip, like how would you take that if someone cancelled on you? And we kind of got into this discussion about if it's a physical, tangible thing, then it's understandable. Like people would be a little bit more flexible and be like, oh yeah, okay, you have this like physical thing, fair. You know, I understand that you can't come. But when it's mental and people can't really see it, it's literally in your head, people might not take it as seriously. And it really made me think because for me, it's actually the other way around. I feel like if someone was going through like a physical pain, and I'm not talking about obviously if you break your leg, you can't come on a hike with me, duh. But if it's like a headache or a backache or something, I'd be like, well, just take painkillers. I'm sure I'll be fine, you know, just take it slow. We won't put music on in the car, like just sleep. It's gonna be fine. Like it's just for today, like I'm sure tomorrow will feel better. But if it's a mental thing, and probably because I have experienced it firsthand very badly, I can sympathize with it so much deeper. And I just understand that that is like, it's not in your control, and you can't really take a pill unless you take like Valium and you just fall asleep basically. But like, what's the use of that? And it really made me think about it and how like people see mental health. And also there's a definite distinction between like just your general anxiety. I feel like most people have it, and I'm not saying it's not important to talk about. Like, I think people have struggles with that, or like social anxiety and stuff like that. I know people who are like, they're just overwhelmed with that, and I don't necessarily want to say like what I went through was so much tougher than you, but it is a different kind of struggle. It is something that yeah, it's in the same family, but there's definitely like a spectrum almost, or there's definitely like a broad range of like what mental health can mean. And I think any kind of mental health issue is very challenging because it is in your mind. And I think a lot of the times we can't really grasp it and understand that our mind is almost like turning against us, even though it's not. It's trying to protect us, it's trying to be the good guy, you know? It feels like the worst thing that can happen. Like, literally, what happened to me, I wouldn't really wish it onto anyone. And if you give me general anxiety now, I would take it gladly. That's all I'm going to say. But I guess also because I have gone through the exposure therapy and just kind of trying to work with my neuroplasticity, and changing my brain neurons and all of this stuff, I kind of see that you can get better. But anyway, I'm in Lake District. I stretched myself, stretched my comfort zone. And I also realized that it's so important to talk about mental health, and not because I want you to feel sorry for me and flood me with comments of like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry you went through that. I know people can feel for me. I know that you listening to this story, you probably went, oh my God, that really sucks. What I really want to do with this experience that I've gone through is give hope to other people, because I remember I was watching so many YouTube videos and just trying to find if anyone has ever gotten better, just to give me hope, just to be like, okay, I have to go through this shitty experience, but maybe like in a year or two, I'll be able to do things. And like, what are the steps that they did that I could get to? And I know that my journey is not going to be the same as yours. It's not going to, necessarily help you the same way, but just to kind of get you in like the right track. And then along the way, you will pick up things that will help you specifically in your situation. So I really want to open up that chat and be like, yeah, I love fashion and I'm doing this, and like highlight reels and all of this fun. At the back of my mind, I promise you, every single thing that you watch that I've done, there's been a struggle, there's been a fight in my own head to get to that place, to do that, to be able to travel, to like, it's not been easy, but you can do it. Okay, so I have to go because we're literally running to get breakfast and then we're back to London. It's going to be a long drive, but I really felt like I really wanted to talk about this morning and open up this chat. So I hope you have a beautiful day and be kind to one another. Bye.